The night that Max decided to wear his wolf suit to make mischief of one kind and another, his mother said to him, "Wild thing." And he said, "I'll eat you up." And she sent him to his room without eating anything. The stories that we are going to hear today are reflections of many different stories, much like the story that I just told you, Where the Wild Things Are by Marie Sendak. We are but an accumulation of all the stories we've heard since our child, for generations, our ancestors, nuestra gente, nuestras abuelas, nuestros padres. These are the stories that make up who we are. And tonight, you will hear so many different stories, and each one is un pequeño pedacito de su pasado to give you the gift of un futuro. Because it's not enough for us to love ourselves. We must be radical for our love to be real, to be a real reflection, to be able to help those around us, to uplift everyone. Because that is what the true nature of Midwest Mujeres is uplifting each other with our stories, to liberating ourselves. When I was a social worker in the early 2000s, I heard so many people, all of these ordinary folks living extraordinary lives. And the more that they talked about their life and their story, the more I was able to help them. And much like these 8 women that are going to come up here and talk about their stories, the more that they talk about their stories is the more that they're going to be able to get the help they need and the advocacy they need. And you too will be better at helping other people around you. So this is my story too. This is all of our stories. And so I'm welcoming you this afternoon to this beautiful storytelling event that Midwest Mujeres has done now 2 times. This is our 2nd year. And we could have not done this without the support of our family and friends. And I want to also acknowledge the land at which we hold our event here tonight. It's not just Madison. This is Madison for all of us. This was also a place of indigenous populations that were pushed out. And now we're bringing that back. Absolutely, because this place is meant for just not only myself, but for you all and all of us. And Midwest Mujeres is dedicated to closing the gender wage gap, and I want you all to help me help the next 100 women. Because as of right now, we have 100 women part of our membership. So excited, thank you so much. 80% of our women are millennials. I want to say 75% are Latinas, and about 10% are white women, and another 8% are black women and multicultural. So we are definitely getting our numbers, friends. We are definitely bringing ourselves together uniquely. And I also want to also acknowledge our board, our volunteers, all of you who decided to make this happen and come today. So thank you all. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Dr. Xochitl Jadira Gonzalez. She comes from Milwaukee. Ever since I've met this woman, she has been such a sunshine in my life. You know, we went over to Telemundo, hicimos nuestro little commercial, and yo me trabé la lengua como siempre, como cualquiera mujer que ha nacido aquí, right? So my English was like coming out, or my Spanish, I was getting like mixed up with my languages. And Dr. Xochitl was like, she took it over, and that was amazing. And so this woman's story of a migrant child coming to the United States at an early age and utilizing her community, utilizing her fuerzas to becoming a doctor, it's incredible. It reminds me a lot of my abuelita when she came over here as a migrant worker. And seeing Dr. Xochitl, I wish you would have met her. I really do, and now you all get to meet her. So please take a round of applause to Dr. Xochitl Gonzalez. Thank you so much. Buenos dias! How are you guys doing? We are so excited to be here. I want to walk you through a little bit of a journey and sharing a little bit about my story. And I am so excited about what's going to happen here today. So take it all in, relax, enjoy the moment. We are going to be here to get vulnerable
Imagine for a moment a little girl, a 12-year-old, looking out a window in a school in Mexico. In Mexico, the schools have lots of windows. They don't have gyms, it's not enclosed, you have a courtyard, you can see the flowers, the trees, you can see kids playing. This little girl has endured so much trauma in life. Comes from a family of alcoholism, violence, all the things that anyone wouldn't want their kids to go through. And when she was told, you're moving to the US, guess what? She thought of a Hollywood movie. Yay! Yellow buses, big buildings, money, dinero, dólares, right? And for the first time, she thought, I'm escaping the life that I don't want to live anymore. This is my chance. I'm going to go pursue the American dream. Little did she know what was going to come next. Back in the day, the Hollywood movies, right? She's going to be unbreakable. Gets on the plane, gets to the US, and guess what? Can't understand the language, has no friends, no family, no circle, feels lost. Feels lost because everything she's ever known, familia, community, her raza, her friends, the language, not there anymore. And learns the true word of racism. Knows about discrimination. I was like, when do we go to recess? Oh, this is recess. Oh, where's the cafeteria? In the gym. Okay, do we go out? No, you're stuck in here all day long. All right, how do I get around? Hallways that looks like mazes, right? I felt like getting lost in the hallways constantly, talking to my peers and friends, nobody understands me, girls looking up and down at you and being like, who's this Mexicanita? We don't know who she is, right? And then I met my friends, my community, who started taking me on and carrying me through and helping me. Come on, we'll help you. Where's your schedule? Who's your teacher? We'll walk you through your classrooms, right? It's not easy. And a lot of us experience that. We get lost in life, we get lost in our journeys. We just have to find the right people, the right places. I went on to school, I learned English. My parents used to clean houses. So our typical workaholics, I would never see them. I was always learning the ways on my own, riding the bus, trying to get myself thrown into school, graduated high school. And here I'm thinking for the first time, I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get a degree, I'm gonna help my parents because this can't be it. We didn't just come here to settle. We didn't just move from Mexico pursuing dreams to settle. We gotta do more than that. I saw my parents getting humiliated, getting yelled at, being reprimanded for things they never did, being told, did you steal this? When they didn't. Working in clinics and places where people took advantage of them. And I knew I had to do more than that. I had to overcome that. Because what? I was young and in love. And I got pregnant at 18. Had to drop off of college. There's a statistic that says that more than 2% of girls, young girls that become pregnant or start a family, usually don't go back to school. More than 30% of young minorities are set for failure because of expectations of getting married and starting a family. In that moment, I thought, I'm doomed. This is it. Here goes all my dreams on the wash drain. I'm not gonna start a family anymore. I'm just gonna settle. I'll probably have to be a stay-at-home mom. Everything I said I wasn't gonna do, here I am. I'm one more statistic. My first child comes along and teaches me the value of pursuing. I can't settle. I cannot give this child the life that I had. I cannot stay here. I have to do more than that. Second child comes along. I could never be a stay-at-home mom. I had to work. We were young kids, raising kids. I had to learn how to go out there. And I started my first corporate job. Another learning for me. What does it look like working in corporate without a degree, being a young mom, being a Latina? It looks lonely because it's the same thing. People don't expect you to succeed. You're just one person sitting in a chair asking me, are you the secretary? Are you the person that brings the coffee? Are you here to clean our rooms? No, I'm here to clean the space that one day I'm going to earn. Second child comes along, and I say, you know what? Why can't I go back to school? I can't be the only one. Yes, I'm young. Yes, I have kids. Yeah, it will not be easy, but guess what? I came here with a dream, and I have to remember that. I cannot be another statistic. The statistic that I'm going to be is going to be of the one that made it through, because that's what I want to tell my kids. That's the legacy I want to build for all of my community. That's the things that I want to make sure people understand. It doesn't have to be it. You pave your way, you make the journey, you make it what you want it to be. Society doesn't tell you where it ends or where it starts. You do. So I went back to college. A lot of time had passed by. Oh, and by the way, high school didn't prepare me for college, because I went to one of those schools that they just wanted you to graduate. They didn't want you to learn. All the stuff I learned when I went to college, I was like, I don't remember listening about this. Statistics, what? I don't know nothing about this. Why? Because most of our school systems, especially in public sectors, especially for minorities, they're struggling, right? A lot of the teachers don't have the energy, the curriculum, or the experience to teach our kids how to succeed. They don't tell you these are the key things that you have to learn so that you can succeed in college. These are the things that you should be doing. This is the things that you shouldn't be paying attention. So matter of fact, I remember one of my teachers, while I was a senior, because I was already dating my still husband, says, walking into the hallway, and I went and asked about a business class. And she literally goes and says, why do you need to learn about this? You should be going to the health center to ask for condoms. And I was like, gotcha. Because that's the expectation for people like us, right? You're not meant to do more. And to me, I took that as a dare, right? I said, watch me. I enrolled in all the business classes that I could. And when I went back to college, I remember that. I am not going to be that statistic. I will make sure that I am making changes for me and for my children, because God helps me. Somebody talks to my child that way. My children will be empowered. My children will be resilient like me because they know that they can, because they will pave the way for others as well. We're in a different generation now. I went back to college. I remember going to MATC, Milwaukee Area Technical College, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going back to school for, but I'm going to start with something. Generic terms. I struggled the first semester because, again, high school didn't prepare me. I got through that, made it, finished my 2 years in business, entrepreneurship as well, medical translation. I was taking it all while raising 2 young kids. And then I said, that was my first time while still working in the corporate world. The higher you go, the more you get paid. And I wanted money. I wanted more money. And I learned for the first time that I was making a lot less and doing a lot more than my peers. Why? Because I didn't know how to ask. Because nobody told me you should be negotiating your salary. Nobody told me, did you ask HR how much you're getting paid and how much are your peers getting paid? I didn't know that. So I was like, let's keep learning. Transferred to Marquette, finished my undergrad in business while still having a full-time job. My third child comes along. I graduated when my child was 9 months old. And people told me, are you gonna drop off now? Are you gonna finish? How are you gonna do it? I went through summer classes pregnant. I couldn't fit on the little booth, but I was there. And I did it. I finished that, kept growing in my corporate career, and that's when I first learned to ask. Statistically, women make 55 cents less per dollar than our peer males. Did you know that? And when I went and asked HR, I have a degree now. I'm talented. I'm up there with the market. I want to see how much you're paying me and how much my peers are making. They adjusted my salary. They did. And I was blessed at that time, working for a global company, to ask those questions and have the right people to coach me through that. It's so important to surround yourself with people that will lift you up and that will help you up. I went back to get my master's because, I like school and learning and being there. And I remember, you told me I couldn't, so let me show you that I can. With 3 kids, a husband, a full-time job, and a side hustle, and I did it. That wasn't enough. And I kept remembering as I was going through this, right? This isn't easy. Every step I took forward, it felt like 10 steps back. My parents retired 3 years ago to Mexico after working their butts off for 25 years here. No retirement, no 401k, and I get to support them. Me and my brother support them now. That's another reality. How do we plan for that? We are so used to living day by day. We don't know what it is to save and look for the future, right? And all of these things, we need to talk about them. They're important. We're in a country of opportunities. That dream the little girl had when she was 12 is true, but it doesn't happen by magic and it doesn't happen overnight. You have to make it happen. Opportunities are not gonna come from the ceiling and land on your lap. It doesn't work like that. I thought it did, but it doesn't, right? You have to follow those dreams. You have to pursue them, and you have to find the right ways to do it. Then life hits. And I decide, you know what? I want to do more than this. Because if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? And I thought, but I'm old. I'm getting old. I don't want to go back to school. And 4 years ago, I decided I'm going to go back, and this time I'm going to get my doctorate. Because I learned in corporate, people need to learn about culture. We hear about diversity and inclusion, and we throw numbers, and we put events together, but corporate world doesn't really understand what that means. The sense of belonging, the sense of growing, the sense of supporting, that we still don't have that many women in leadership roles. We're in 2024. What's happening? We don't have the numbers. We don't have representation. Less than 8% across the United States are Latinos or minorities holding those CEO and up positions. Why? We need to start claiming that space, but we need to get educated. We need to get our kids educated. We need to keep pursuing. We gotta keep pushing. And then after that, as I was going through that, married, with my kids, life hits me once again. I start my degree, and then my youngest, born female, comes up to us and says, Mommy, I don't want to be a girl. I want to be a boy. Talk about LGBTQ+. I've always been an ally. I've always been a supporter. I'm leaning. I welcome everyone. But it is different to be an ally than to live that journey yourself. And when it's your child, raised Catholic, follow the sacraments. You just have to lean in and love and care for them. My child has gone through transition. He goes by him now. We've changed his name. I've had to let go of people. I have to say bye to people that don't support this journey, and I'm proud of it. I changed my research. I changed my studies to go from corporate competency and culture to parenting transgender children. I graduated in May. Just last month, I walked the stage. And my kids get to say, my mom's a doctor. This is Dr. Gonzalez. I am Dr. Gonzalez. And I didn't do it alone. I did it with my people. I did it for a community. I did it for my children. I did it for all of us. Because we all need that power. And this isn't it. We got so much more to do, right? We're just getting started. All the stories you're going to hear today, we didn't start from here. We started from nothing. That's not the end of it. We got so much more to do. Lean in, listen to the stories, grab on, if you can take something today, take the power of resilience, take the power that you own. Take all of that power and think about what are you going to do next. You don't have to go run a marathon. You definitely don't have to go get a PhD. Are you starting a new business? Do you need to just hold someone close? Do you need to lean in? Do you need to love? Do you need to help someone? Support Midwest Mujeres. Support and encourage all the women brave that are going to be here in this stage today, sharing their stories and pouring their hearts out. It just takes one person to make a difference. Make sure that every day you're touching someone's life and you're making a difference. We're in here together. We all want dinero, but the dinero is not going to come to us by the power of one. It's by the power of our community. So let's embrace the Yo Quiero Dinero to be more than that. It's not just about the cash. Yes, it is. It matters. Claim your space. But it is also about the community and the power that we bring together. Because if I want to advocate for my people, I will make sure to ask, how much is he making? Is my team being paid accordingly? Is the person I'm hiring the right person? And if they're not, why? Can I teach them something they don't know? Let's start changing the game. Let's start asking. Let's advocate. Let's love our children. Let's love our community. There's so much more to do. Let's lean in and let's enjoy this event today. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. Power of community. Power of community. Oh, when we were backstage just listening, we were both like, all of us turning to each other, yes, eso es lo que queremos. That is what we want. Because it's not about one person getting the money. It's about all of us getting this money, friends. And, oh my gosh, my heart is just full. My heart is so full. Yes, yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome, y'all. Yeah, yes, get pumped, get pumped. Because you've been watching the stage transform and then like, ooh, all these things are happening. Welcome to the stage, Monica Mims, innovative artist, marketer. Yes, she's amazing. And then we're also having Gabriela Tellez, Latina business owner, licensed esthetician, mama. Oh my gosh, she's everything. Warm welcome to these beautiful ladies. Come on down.
Y'all all right? Ooh, that's loud. I'm loud, right? I don't get to hear myself like this very often. Y'all all right? Yes. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here with us tonight. So I'm here, of course, to tell y'all a story, but this story is about coloring outside the lines. So I'm gonna color outside the lines while I tell y'all this story. All right? So from as early as I can remember, I've been told to color inside the lines. And my earliest memory of being told to color inside the lines go back to when I was about 4 years old. So my mom would buy the coloring books for my sisters and I, and we would sit around the table. And we always had the big box of crayons, right? The 64 in a pack. And it's way too many colors to use just one. And anybody who's only using just one is clearly not as colorful as I am. So there was this narrative, you know. I would hear squeaking from across the table. Most of the time it was my twin sister, Monique, complaining, "Monica's not coloring inside the lines." I didn't have to color inside the lines. I never wanted to. Still don't want to. And that followed me, right? You remember first grade when your teacher would give you that single sheet of paper? It says, use the color to match the word. I knew my colors. I used the color to match the word, but I always added some extra. That quickly gained the reputation for me, rebellious, not following the rules. And it continued. It didn't just stop there, right? Because that's who I am. Monica, coloring outside the lines. So as an adolescent, I think I was around 13 years old when my family and I first came to Madison. We lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. Imagine what that picture looked like. Imagine who expected me to color inside those lines. You know, when there was, you know, the typical teenage drama, oh, she pulled my hair. It would be a simple narrative, but it often got stretched out because I was coloring outside the lines. She hit me first, so she got it. Then, here we go. I continued with that narrative, not letting it change who I was, but kind of just putting up with it, right? Then high school comes around. Here I am. Whew. I really colored outside those lines. I did some very colorful things with some very colorful people in high school, most of them which I still love today. It didn't change me. I was still coloring outside the lines. Then at one point in high school, I ended up at an alternative school. But this alternative school was so outside the lines that I earned an apprenticeship in carpentry. Yeah, I build shit. Just so y'all know, I build shit, yeah. So that fueled more in me. It made me want more. It made me want to do more, so I did. And I used money from that program to continue through school. And while in school, guess who got pregnant too early? Yeah, and then that created another narrative, right? Imagine what that black and white picture looked like. But it wasn't just a black and white picture that came from society in the outside. There was a picture that I drew for myself, expectations that I wanted to have for myself as a mom. Then there was the picture drawn from my family, my own mom, and the way she raised her children, right? Then there was a picture drawn by my daughter's dad. This really, really black and white picture. It was littered with alcoholism. It was littered with abuse. So of course I painted outside that shit, right? I got it really, really colorful. Yes, I added all the colors I wanted to that picture. It was a situation that I had to escape from, so I did, with my beautiful daughter, and we did our thing. I painted outside the lines of that so much. No one expected me to graduate college. No one expected me to earn any type of degree, any type of education. The expectations was probably that I would end up maybe a cashier for the rest of my life. Maybe a hotel clerk for the rest of my life. But it didn't happen that way. because I colored outside the lines. Now here I am, private sector, corporate America, Black girl, I got a mohawk. I walk into a corporate office with a mohawk every day. My newest title in that is Grassroots Community Engagement Partner. This means that I am every day going out into communities and meeting with people that often don't look like me. I rock my hoop earrings because it's fly. I have my mohawk, and the colors in my mohawk change. It's purple right now. It was red a week ago. It might be pink next week. Who knows? It depends on which way the wind blows. But here I am coloring outside the lines, right? I walk into corporate America wearing a blazer and Jordans almost every day. They don't judge me. Some probably do. They wouldn't say that shit out loud though, right? They ain't gonna say it out loud. So here I am, an artist. I'm a nonprofit organization leader. I sit in a well position in corporate America with my colorful mohawk and my vast collection of Jordans. I'm an artist with no special skills. Art school was no cakewalk for me. I couldn't even follow the directions there, right? They're like, oh, that wasn't the technique, but I got the job done. What was it? Remind me the technique? Oh, I can't do that, but I'll get the job done. So I'm still ignoring the technique, getting the job done, making good money, and I'm still coloring outside the lines. So my message to you today and from now on is when there's a black and white picture drawn for you and expectations drawn around it, color outside the lines. Make that shit bright with all the colors you can possibly imagine, and always make it be you. Thank you.
That was for you. Hello, welcome everyone. All right, well, a little bit about myself. I am a second-generation Mexican-American from Laredo, Texas. At the age of 2 years old, I died from a rare parasitic disease. So you see, I was meant to be here to tell y'all my journey. At the age of 3 years old, my mom brought us down to Madison, Wisconsin for a better life. With the help of UMOS, we were able to get housing and able to get work as well. My father didn't come down till later on because he was always in and out of jail. My father was a strict man, very stern, very machista, also very abusive. He was very abusive to my mom and to my sister. And also he had a lot of friends. Some of those friends I recall overdosing in our bathtubs. Others would have molested me when I was younger. I told no one. I kept it a secret. So I was traumatized when I was young, and I also had a lot of built-up anger in me. I still struggle with it till this day. When I was 15 years old, my high school sweetheart and his parents came to ask for my hand in marriage. Now, typically in my culture, that's only done if you're either pregnant or no longer a virgin. I was neither, so we were all confused. Of course, my parents said no to the proposal, and so did I. Me and him continued to date, but his family continued to pressure me and kept telling me, we're gonna move, we're gonna take him away, we're gonna, move to Texas. So at the age of 16, I became pregnant. We got married. I moved in with him. But that didn't last. He was cheating. So I left him. I moved back home with my parents. I continued my education, and I went to SAPAR, a school-age parenting program, or a school for teen moms. And I had my daughter, Thalia. I was able to file for divorce, and at that school is where I found out that my soon-to-be second husband was living a double life. His other daughter is about 8 months younger than mine. Her mother started to attend that same school as me. You can imagine the drama and how I felt. But I continued to push on. I continued my education, and I worked at night. I got no sleep. Ask my sister. She kept the baby up in the mornings. So I was able to graduate with my high school class of 2000, and I got my high school diploma. And then, over the years, my father became ill. I became his caretaker, got into the medical field. But my father pleaded with me, Mija, please find your daughter a father, and please find yourself a husband. I don't want to die knowing that you will be alone. That's where my second husband came into play. I had my second daughter, Francisca. I continued my education, became a certified nursing assistant. I also got a good job. Now my husband, he was an alcoholic and became very abusive. Again, I told no one. I kept it a secret. That man not only almost killed me once, but twice. So I took my kids and I fled. I filed for divorce and I freed myself. Husband number 3. I know, calmate, J-Lo, right? Husband number 3 was a godsend. I had my son Leo. I love you, mijo. I had my son Leo. I continued my education, became a certified medical assistant. I got an amazing job with the company I always wanted to work for. Things were looking out. I also got help, do the down payment on our house. Things was looking good. Me and my husband were together many, many, many years. So we started to argue, we started to fight, and then we started to fight in front of the kids. But this time I told him, and we talked, and we said, you know what, let's separate. Maybe this will help our marriage. So I left. I became a single mom again. But this time was different. I got a second job. I learned how to finance. I learned how to budget. I built up my credit score. I felt empowered, okay? There was nothing I couldn't do after this, okay? So, me and my husband were able to fix our marriage. This actually helped our marriage. And then it made me realize, why did I have to get a second job if I already worked with a good company? I could have just asked for a raise. Then the pandemic hit. All hell broke loose. People were overworked and understaffed. It made me question if I wanted to continue to work in the medical field. So I continued my education. I went to school part-time to become an esthetician. And then the new staff started coming in, and people started talking about their wages. The new girl was making $2 more than me, and the new guy was making $3 more than her, so that's $5 more than me. I had 12 years of experience over them. They had little to no experience. So you can't tell me I wasn't being discriminated against, not only for being Latina, but for being a woman. So I brought my concerns up to management, and I CC'd everybody I could. The manager's manager, HR, maybe even the janitor. Anyone that would listen to me. But my manager gave me a $1 raise, and I feel it was just to shut me up. That was my cue to go. So I transferred to a specialty department. I got $2 more. So I was like, hey, I'm getting up there, right? Yeah, okay. It was the same thing. We were understaffed, overworked. So I stayed as long as I could. I was able to graduate esthetician school. I passed my state boards and became a licensed esthetician. I created Balin Skin and Beauty, put in my 2 weeks notice, and I left that company on my 13-and-a-half anniversary, and I never looked back. I became a solo esthetician for 6 months, but I still felt like I was missing something. Not the chaos, but I was missing something. So I applied to another company as a medical assistant. But this time was different. I knew my worth, y'all. And I told them that. I said, you know what? I want the maximum pay, I want the maximum bonus, and I need a day off. The worst they could say was no, right? And I applied at another company. And you know what? I am getting my worth. I am getting my pay. And I have the best of both worlds because I'm also a boss. I'm my own boss. So you see, I hope my story inspires you to strive to survive, to know your worth, continue to advocate for yourself, and know that it is okay to start over in life as many times as you want until you are happy. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's look at this art. Let's look at this art that she created on stage with us today. All of you were part of this beautiful art creation. Thank you so very much, Monica.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, what a treat. I bet y'all didn't know that you were gonna witness live art today. But that's what the gift of Midwest Mujeres is, all of its diversity and all of its inclusion. That's what we strive, is to be that vehicle for ordinary women living extraordinary lives. And the two women that I'm about to bring up are also of that caliber. Please, a warm welcome to Andrea White, up-and-coming nonprofit leader and social justice advocate, and Karina Sucasere, women's advocate, higher education advocate as well. Welcome to the stage, ladies! Woo!
Voting, but I decided to tell y'all a story instead. It all started in 2009. I'm 16. These piercing words in my brain. I hear my counselor tell me, Andrea, you're just not that girl. I look at her and I say, okay. I skipped half of my lunch to be here. To ask her, can I get some more duties? Can I get some more jobs on student council? Can I be at the lead of BSU? Obviously, no, I'm not that girl. So I look at her, confused. What do you mean? She's like, we'll use your talents behind the scenes. You're good at math, you're good at math. Yep, you can keep score of our numbers. I look at her again. Thank you. I walk out of her class, I walk out of her office, walk into class. First fuming, but then I say, you know what? She might be right. Maybe that's not my place. She does have her PhD after all. She knows a lot. So I continue on, dumbing myself down, being behind the scenes. Fast forward, 2011, I'm finally 18. Pregnant, but I'm 18. My boyfriend at the time, we were talking about college and where we're going. And I said, I think I'm just gonna go to MATC. You know, girls like me, I come from a family of generational trauma, teen pregnancy, family full of criminals. First of all, I can't even afford the 4 years, but I'll go to MATC. He says, you know, yeah. That way we can worry about real world shit. 4-year college that's a fairy tale. And he's saying it as if he's doing me a favor. So I continue to live this dumbed down life. That relationship lasted 2 years. Go figure. I get my associates from MATC. I'm happy with that. I work a bunch of retail jobs. I start working at a jewelry store, climbing my way up the ladder really, really quickly. I become store manager. One day I'm sitting with the district manager and he says, you know, Andrea, you listen, I like you. You're pretty, You don't ask a lot of questions. And you're not really like one of those, ghetto black girls. I immediately know I'm quitting, but I stay there for a while. I get the chance to get my CNA, snatch that up real quick. Yeah, you guessed it, that didn't last long either. I stayed there until I was 23. There's only so many wrinkled white racist butts you can wipe before you're tired of it. I quit with no plan. Where does that land me? That lands me back at home. My daughter and I are sleeping on my mom's couch. I felt so disgusted with myself. I'm not making any money. I'm back at home. I can't move. I don't know what to do. I'm depressed. I woke up one day and I was like, I got 3 things I need to do. I need to move out, first of all, because this couch is leather, it's sticky. I need to make people respect me. And lastly, I need to make more money. My mom gets off work and I hurry up and tell her. And she's like super excited. Backstory on my mom, she thinks I'm Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle all wrapped in one. So she's gonna be happy at whatever I tell her. So I said, I'm gonna give myself until I'm 25. I did all 3 before I was 25. Even further, I got my first big girl job as an office manager at a dental office. So I'm happy, everything's going great. COVID hit, 2020, stopped us all. Not only is there a pandemic, I find out that I'm pregnant. I'm in a relationship with somebody that doesn't want me to feel pretty or smart or funny or anything for that much, as long as I'm doing what he says. When I heard it's a girl, something sparked in me. I already have 1 daughter. Do I really want 2 daughters being led by somebody who can't make her own decisions for herself? So I dropped the dead weight of the relationship. I move on. I get asked to be community service chair of the Urban League of Greater Madison Young Professionals. I don't know what the org is really. I don't know what a nonprofit really is. I dive deep in. I move on. I get a new job. I get a job at the YWCA. They say, you're going to be teaching a class. You're going to be teaching people's about renter education, and you're going to do 4 classes a year, 6-week cohorts. I said, okay. As I get more immersed into nonprofit, I move on and I become vice president of the Urban League of Greater Madison Young Professionals. And then I get asked to be on another board after that. My confidence is as high as before I went into Dr. Comstock's office. And yes, I'm a name drop because she shouldn't have told me that. I look back and I'm like, wow, you did it. I go to a graduation, I see Dr. Comstock. Do I tell her kiss my ass? No. Do I want to? Yes. But she says, Andrea, I seen you on TV. You were nominated for an award. I said, yeah. I was nominated for the 2023 Changemaker Award from Sustain Dane. I was nominated for Young Professional of the Year by Madison 365. I was awarded In Business Magazine's 40 Under 40 class of 2024 and nominated for the Athena Award as well. All while raising 2 kids. All while raising 2 kids and going to school for my bachelor's. So what I want to look back and say, Dr. Comstock, I am very much that girl. Thank you. I
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Let me tell you a story about a phone call I received in 2020 that changed my life. I remember I was in Madison, living in Madison, sitting in my couch, when my girlfriend from Wisconsin Dells called me and said, Karina, you're not gonna believe what happened. Our friend, Rosalie, was found dead. I remember I sat on the couch for hours and didn't say a word for at least 2-3 hours. I was sad, speechless. Rosalie was 25 years old, joyful, caring, great mother and daughter. She was Peruvian like I, and she was my roommate and friend when I first got here and when I used to live in Wisconsin Dells. After receiving this phone call, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help. I was living here. I communicate with family. I was like, how can I support them? They are so far away. She was alone, and she was pregnant when she died. And I had to do something about it. I remember the next days and weeks, I couldn't sleep. I was like, I can't believe my sisters, my friend, my comadres, mis amigas are suffering this, and there's no one to help them. So I was like, it has to be me. And I decided to work on myself, because what nobody knew, even though I was working at the bank, I was helping people, and I was high achiever, workaholic, but what nobody knew is that I was a victim of domestic violence too. That's how Rosalie died. So I was like, I had to help them, and I started therapy. And I remember in the airplane when they explained the safety message, that in case of emergency, put your mask on first, and then assist others. So I was like, I'm going to do that. And that's how my journey started. I started therapy. I even hired 2 therapists. So, because I wanted to heal faster, right? I was like, no, I got to do it. Then I realized it was not a good idea, because I forgot what I told one therapist or another. I was getting confused. And I was like, healing takes time. And it took me 3 years to be able to say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to help women in my community. I'm ready to help those who have lived what I live. Trauma, oppression, abuse, this is more normal than we think. So that's when I decided to leave my job at the bank and start as a domestic violence advocate, a woman empowerment advocate, and I started a new career path in psychology. Thank you. Last year, for the first time, 2023, I was part of the ECHOS program. In ECHOS program, we center our voices to help community. So for the first time, I had a meeting with Dane County Public Protection, and I told my story. And after the meeting, I was like, I can't believe I told my story to 8 random people. Now it's more than 8, so I'm so happy for that. And this journey hasn't been easy at all. It's been many times I wanted to quit, but it has been worth it. This is the gift that my friend Rosalie gave it to me. This is the gift that she was like, Karina, like, you do it. And I feel so grateful that every day they wake up, I'm like, I'm going to help women. I'm going to help in my community. I'm going to be this sister, hermana, amiga, friend. I'm going to be here no matter what, and I'm not going to judge. I am here for them. So, Yo Quiero Dinero, these events for me means stop looking outside and start looking inside. I felt like I was running behind money. I was like, I had to go, I had to keep going. But then when this happened, it took my life, and I was like, okay, there is more. So that's when I decided to start a new career path. And thanks to this gift, I had the courage to develop a voice. Now I am the community, I am helping, and I am here. After that, I created 2 Facebook groups. One is a Latino Empowering Wisconsin, and the other is Coffee with the Comadres. And comadres is a Spanish word that means amiga, friend, sister. And that's what I wanted to be for everyone. So I had the courage to develop this voice. And now that I have it, I will never be silent again. Thank you.
Okay. Amigas, gracias. Thank you so much. Y'all have been amazing audience members. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, audience, y'all are tired. Y'all have eaten. Y'all have eaten all these stories. It is time to stretch, time to use the restrooms if you need to. There's a huge watermelon by our local. Did y'all see the watermelon? There's another one. And they have chocolate-covered strawberries on them. Yeah, okay. You have 10 minutes. Go enjoy, stretch the legs, rest, relax, recoup, come right back, because we have 4 amazing storytellers who want to tell you exactly their journeys as well. Lights on, friends. We got this. Come on back. Thank you so much. That's it. We are cutting generational curses right here. And you all are beautiful witness. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's been really powerful. We've been crying backstage, and they're all like, suck it in, Araceli. I'm like, no, ya pero me quiero deshacer aquí mismo. I just want to melt here. Okay, the next 2 women, one of them I have known literally all my life, we went to high school together, and another woman has been, I've known her since Quetzali was yay high, and that is Michelle McCoy, nonprofit leader, and Shermel Duncan, Black woman entrepreneur. Come on down, friends. Woo!
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle McCoy. And I am a center director at Bridge Lake Point Winona Neighborhood Center, otherwise known as BLW. That position, being a director, is what brought me here today to talk to you about Yo Quiero Dinero. So, Yo Quiero Dinero, yeah! I want money. Who doesn't, right? But to me, Yo Quiero Dinero is the journey that I had to go through to get here today. See, my story started in a small town in Colorado, and I was born in a family that struggles with addiction. Both my parents are alcoholics. But there were times in my life where things were going really well. I mean, my dad worked in the oil rigs. He was a driller. My mom stayed at home and took care of us. So I remember we would have an 11-bedroom house, and I would have 4 playrooms. But at the drop of the hat, we would lose everything once they started drinking. There would be the fighting, the violence, and I was the one that always had to go in and break it up. I remember the last fight that I witnessed. I had to go in there and pull my dad off my mom. And she was beaten so bad that she couldn't see. She was blind for 6 months. As a child, going through all that, I had to come up with my own coping skills just to get through the day. So I always used to tell myself, dark times don't last. Dark times don't last. So that situation led me to my grandparents' house. So for the first 10 years, every time things went bad, we were always there. That was our safe place, right? And being a little girl, if there was nights where I couldn't sleep or I was really anxious, I used to crawl in bed with my grandparents and nestle in between them. And I always made my grandfather read me a book. But see, this wasn't just any book. This book was magical. Because every time he told it and turned the page, the story changed. And it always got better and better. What I didn't realize at the time is the reason the story changed all the time is my grandfather didn't know how to read or write. But he was the pillar of our family, the provider, the man that I always look up to and still try to be this to this day, or a version of him, but also the most magical person I've ever known. So about age 6 or 7, I witnessed a lot of abuse, but I also had abuse happen to me. I was molested by 4 people, an aunt, an uncle, and 2 babysitters, and I became a statistic. See, 1 in 3 women by the age 18 are going to be molested or sexually assaulted. And for boys, it's 1 in 5. But I know the numbers are a lot higher because those are just the ones that come out. Dark times don't last. Then, about 10 years old, I had the opportunity to move to Madison, Wisconsin, and my life changed. See, I came here with my Aunt Ellen, and my Aunt Ellen was the only adult that really took care of me. She allowed me to be a child. She would take me to the movies, she would take me to swimming, and she always provided school clothes for me. I never had any needs, and if I ever was having a problem, I'd always process everything with her. That all changed. I had about 8 months of peace, 8 months to be a child with her. But it changed once my mom moved here and we went back to that dysfunctional family. My mom still struggles with alcoholism, so living a peaceful life is just something she does not know how to do. By age 17, I became a teen mom. And I remember that night that I had my daughter, and it was just me and her in the hospital room, and I had my firstborn, Ramona, and I remember holding her. And I promised her, you are not going to go through the things that I went through. I am going to get us out of here. I don't know how, but I am. At age 18, I moved out and I never went back. Shortly after that, I met my ex-husband, and we had 2 other children, Samantha and Brandon. And things were good for a while, but I found myself at age 26, a single mother, struggling, working at Toys R Us, making $12 an hour, wondering how I'm going to provide for my family. But luckily, I was offered a position in mortgages. This job was going to change my life. I can throw the retail job right behind me, right? And it did. Within 6 months, I was promoted to top processor. I was able to buy a home, and me and my kids were living really well for a while. But then I realized it was a job that I wasn't really happy. See, corporate America is not always so welcoming to Black and brown people. I was constantly criticized by the way I spoke, and if I had an idea, it wasn't respected or I wasn't listened to. And I always got written up for laughing. Seriously, I did. All that changed in 2019 when I took a class called Boardwalk Academy. Boardwalk Academy is a class that helps people with lived experiences serve on boards and also helps them become community leaders. This class changed my life. This class is why I am Michelle McCoy to this day. This class taught me that I have a voice and I can use it to help others and not to be ashamed of my story. So after Boardwalk, I developed a passion to get into the community work, and I really wanted to go in the nonprofit field, right? This is what I was meant to do. So you saw me volunteering at events. I was at the registration tables. I was help planning events. I was showing up everywhere, but for 1 year, no one would hire me. I didn't give up. Then one night, I got a call from Gloria Reyes. And she said, I have a position at Briar Patch Youth Services as a parent support coordinator, and I think you would be a good fit. So I read the position. Oh my God, this was everything that I wanted. This position was Michelle McCoy. This is gonna put me in the opportunity to help so many other people, right? Then I saw that one of the requirements was you needed a bachelor's degree. So I called Gloria and I was like, I don't have a bachelor's degree. I don't think, I really want to do this, but I don't think I qualify. She's like, no, just apply and we're gonna give it to the right person. I got the job. And it was the position that was meant for me. I was able to use all my life experiences to help so many in the community. I was able to help families break generational curses. And the families that did the work, we saw change. I thought, this is the end of my journey. This is my forever job. I'm gonna retire here. And I would have been happy with that. But then I got another call from Gloria Reyes. And she's like, so, I think it's time you become a director for a center on the South Side. Are you kidding? Me? A director? I didn't think I was ready for it. You know, I gave her and myself 1,000 reasons why I shouldn't apply for the job, but I walked on faith and I applied for the job. You are now looking at a center director, a coordinator for Boardwalk Academy, so I'm helping others. You are looking at a recruiter for the Wisconsin Challenge Academy. And I serve on so many boards throughout Dane County to help make a difference. And the one thing that I learned in my journey is the only person that controls your destiny is you. Every trial you go through becomes a testimony. And the most important thing is, dark times don't last. Thank you.
First of all, why don't everybody give themselves a round of applause for being here? I was trying to hold my composure as well, as my son is almost on his way up on the stage as well. So today, first of all, I'm Shamil Duncan. I am a business owner with Journey Together Childcare alongside my husband. I'm a wife, I'm a mom of 6 kids. My hair is gray, I don't know what. Yeah, thank you. But today I want to talk about my story and my journey in business. It's been a little difficult, to say the least, but how I got started is pretty much, we relocated from, I'll just say Illinois, the state of Illinois. I thought that this would be the best place for us to come, as I'm a native of Wisconsin. My husband's a native of Illinois. I'm like, we got to get out of y'all state, yeah. That's stuff. So, but when we came here, we didn't have anything. We had things lined up, but we just never were able to obtain it once we landed here. So we started off in hotels, jumping from hotel to hotel, and luckily he had a family member that actually was going to school here. And so we were able to reside with her. We were all kind of cooped up. And so basically, we ended up getting our own home on the east side of Madison. I know there's a rivalry going on with the east and west side and things like that. But I am here to say the east side is the best side. I'm here to say. Yes. All right, so when we went to the east side, we resided in a place called the Madison. I don't know how many people are familiar with the Madison apartments on this side of town, on the east side of town. But it was a very, that's essentially where we got a good start and a good grounding for our family. My husband came across a leasing agent who told us about a lender who was able to work with us. It's always been our dream, especially mine, to own a daycare center, but I just never know how to go about doing it. Well, as I was working a 9-to-5 job, and I have a friend that well, I have several friends that own their own businesses and things like that. But this particular friend gave me a call and she said, I know somebody, or actually somebody came in here and they gave me their number because they're looking for somebody to go ownership with them in their daycare business. And I thought of you. And I said, thanks. I took it and I put it in my back pocket. So those two resources is what created a plan for us to become business owners. I worked at a medical transportation company here that's no longer in existence. I think it's a different company now, but I worked as a quality resolution specialist. As a quality resolution specialist, I was responsible for completing or investigating complaints when people couldn't get to their appointments and the clients filed complaints with the transportation company. After a while, the supervisors felt like I was inadequate at my job. So they paired me with quality resolution specialists like me, but they were veteran. They were there longer than me. At that time, they were like, well, there's nothing wrong with your work, period. Like, you are very good at your job. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I kind of figured that. So basically, they demoted me, and I ended up going back to customer service. And when I went to customer service, after I finished taking a call, it was then that I realized what I was worth. I decided that day was my last day working as a quality resolution customer service representative. So I walked home. And when I walked home, in the back of my mind, I was like, I do want to go ahead and get my business going and things like that. And my husband was like, well, this is a good time for you to go ahead and start looking at this. So I considered that confirmation. So I went into my backpack, I put all of my tools together, and I brought out those resources that I was given. When I put those resources together, that looked like me making phone calls to the person that my husband was given for a lender for us. And I went to, I called the lady that had her interest, wanted us to go co-owner with her. When I did that, she arranged for us to meet, and she arranged for us to meet at our clubhouse, but unfortunately, we got stood up. And so it was a red flag there. At that time, my husband was a truck driver, and it was really inconveniencing to him. So then we ended up just kind of pushing it off, but then circling back to it, I was like, I'm just giving it another shot. So then I went and I called the same lady, and we at this time arranged to meet at her child care center. And when we met at her child care center, she had the most disgusting look on my face. I don't know what I did. I just never saw the lady because she stood us up, right? And so she had the most disgusting look on her face. And then she says, what is your credit score? How about we just focus on why I'm here? I'm like, let's work on that first. And so we discussed about what she was looking for and all of that good stuff. And so I got excited. My husband at that time, when she said that, he was kind of like done. He was like, let's go. So I was excited after the meeting. I called my friend and I told her everything, and she was just like, maybe you should do your homework first on them. So I did that. Went to the Department of Children and Families database, because you can see all the daycare information there. And lo and behold, when I pulled them up, they had a long list of violations and forfeitures. And this place in particular was the Allied Drive neighborhood. How many people are familiar with the Allied Drive neighborhood? Yeah. It has a very negative stigma. I didn't know any of that going into it. It became very difficult for us. And so we ended up with the building because they got evicted out of the building. Again, we didn't know anything about Ally Drive. We didn't know anything about the history of the building, but people thought we were the same people, just opening up a different business, because unfortunately that's what the other owners did. They were a business and kind of tanked and then did it again, and then we came in right behind them. I faced a lot of difficulties while trying to run my business there, and this whole rebrandishing was an issue. Like, that's when I learned essentially what rebrandishing meant. While we were rebrandishing, we gained several great employees, some and regular employees. We also gained a lot of good families. But then trouble came. We had people milking the clock just to kind of pull more money from the company. Well, we're newer in business, we couldn't afford that. And so ultimately, it became kind of a sabotage type thing. I felt very sabotaged. And I even had one employee say, she came to me to my face and said, "We wouldn't do this if you were a white daycare." My own culture come to me and say, "We wouldn't do this if you were a white daycare." That made me feel some type of way. And so I was just like, what am I doing any different than anybody else? I had people pulling their kids out of the program because they didn't want to pay a bill. Child care is not free. So today, I think what I want to happen is, we've been in business 6 years. Thank you. And what I want everybody to know is that I am a very reputable business, and I do urge anybody who's looking for childcare to help to support. We have our building is 7,200 square feet. It's a big building, but it's never been at capacity. It fits 93 people in there, or 93 kids, I'm sorry, but we've never been at capacity. And eventually, I'd like to see that happen. Yes. So, thank you.
Now for our last story speakers. Oh my gosh, our feature stories have just, they've been so monumentous. But here's my call to action to you all. If these stories touch you, if these stories inspire you, go follow us on social media. Give us a like. It doesn't take much money. It really doesn't. Refer us for collaborations, refer us clients, refer these women. Some of the women from last year, let me tell you, they've gotten new clients. They were able to increase their salaries over 10, 20%. Some of them went on to like newer, bigger positions in the city, either advocacy or et cetera. Someone went on to podcasting. You see them nervous here. The next day, tomorrow, they're gonna be called into some podcast. They keep on growing and going. And that's what I love about our platform, is that we are like, you know what I'm saying? Like that starting point for folks. And obviously, if you can't support us, share our information so that someone else is inspired to support us financially, so that we can ignite the next 100 Midwest Mujeres and ignite their stage for next year, right? So without further ado, let me introduce you to Vanessa Cook, beautiful fitness athletic person, and then also Paquita Pernell. Welcome to the stage, ladies.
Hello, everyone. So I'm gonna get real with y'all for a second. As I contemplated what I was gonna say on stage today, I changed my speech 5 different times. Every time I attended a Midwest Mujeres workshop, I changed my speech again. I was in turmoil trying to decide what I was going to say today. And then it hit me. Each one of us in this room has faced that exact same turmoil. Who am I? What part of my life has shaped who I've become today? What message do I want the world to know? How many of you have all asked the question, who am I? Raise your hand. Yeah, look at the room. We're not alone, right? Okay. So, ¿quién es Vanessa Cook? Am I who I am today because I'm the daughter of a first-generation immigrant from Montevideo, Uruguay? Am I who I am today because he chose drugs and money over his own family and left us to create a new family? Am I a survivor of physical and emotional abuse disguised as parenting because of generational traumas before them? Am I that 14-year-old girl who continuously gave her body away after a boy disguised as a man ripped her virginity from her? Am I a rape victim? Am I that 16-year-old girl who ran away from home only to find herself locked in the basement of someone who housed runaway teens in Atlanta, Georgia? The teen who chose drugs over feeling anything in life again. Or maybe I'm the survivor of domestic abuse after I escaped my first marriage to find myself as a lost, broke, single mom of a toddler, just like every woman before me had. Or am I that woman who finally found her soulmate, just to become the abuser she never thought she would become? The woman who was so lost in her health struggles and trauma that she was just waiting to die? 6 years ago, I stood in a place far removed from where I am today. 85 pounds heavier, I was a woman lost in the shadows of fibromyalgia, a heart condition, and severe asthma. My health struggles were a heavy burden, and it affected not just my body, but my spirit. I was a woman living in a constant state of turmoil, and it affected not just my relationship with myself, but my relationship with others. My husband, he used to have to carry me up our stairs every single night because I couldn't bear the notion of fighting against the pain or my lungs for one more moment. Regardless of the state our relationship was in, I would sit there at the bottom of the stairs and he would come, lift me up, and carry me to our bed. You guys, my husband is an incredible man. He has loved 12 different versions of Vanessa Cook. And I'm never going to forget the moment that he took my hands, his eyes clouded with fear and with tears, and said, "I'm afraid I'm gonna lose you and be a widower with our 2 kids." That was the moment. That was my wake-up call to realize I had to make a change. In those early stages of me seeking out a better version of myself, I remember how many times I shut down, whether it was from the pain or whether it was because I felt like I was never getting anywhere. I turned to running after listening to a very special woman speak about it, and she's now one of my closest friends. I remember in those early days, I was running as hard as I could, and there was my husband briskly walking next to me in his jeans and his work boots. I took the brave step of seeking therapy to confront the trauma that had been my silent companion for far too long. And through that healing process, I discovered the transformative power of continued fitness, the nurturing essence of whole foods eating, and the grounding practices of mindfulness. These were not just changes. They were a keystone for a foundation of a new life that I was building for myself, one that I deserved, where I could breathe easier, move freely, and embrace each day with gratitude. I went from emergency rooms to finish lines. I went from not being able to run for 60 seconds to running marathons. I no longer have fibromyalgia. I no longer have severe asthma, and I don't take medicine for my heart anymore. I went from being a terrible mother and a terrible wife to being a trauma-informed mom of 7 beautiful kids. And they capture my heart every single day. Thank you. The best part is, I know I'm an amazing wife. My husband will tell you, I promise. I am now the owner of Soul Revival Health and Fitness Coaching, where now I know my worth and I get to show other women their worth and teach them how to find themselves again. I now know that I am not the sum total of my life's experiences, and now I know that I can do those hard things. I navigated not having a college education, not having any other person's footsteps to follow in my own entrepreneurial journey. It's a challenge every single day, but I refine my skills and I use my resilience and my hard work ethic and determination to have my own business. Is it hard some days? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Every freaking second, you guys. So, ¿quién es Vanessa Cook? I am a phoenix who rose from the ashes. I'm a daughter, a friend, a sister, a mother, a wife, a coach. I'm a strong, intelligent, compassionate woman. And I now know that I am worthy of so much more than I can even dream of right now. And each and every one of you, you are also worthy. You are worthy of your dreams, of happiness, and money. Yes. So if my story from despair to vitality teaches anything, it's that healing is possible. Change is achievable. A life of wellness is right there for you. And it's okay to say, soy digna, I am worthy. Soy más, I am more. Y yo quiero dinero. Thank you.
Hello. So I'm going to take you guys on a journey with me. In 2014, as I sat in a dark, windowless room in an inpatient psych ward, I wondered to myself, how did I get here? And who was this person I had become? My name is Paquita Purnell, and I am a domestic abuse survivor, and I also survived depression. Sitting in that dark, windowless room, I felt the lowest I've ever felt in my life. And I wondered to myself, is this it? Is this what life's supposed to be like? I struggled to find the will to go on. But I am a woman of faith. I had the greatest grandmother. Her name was Elizabeth. She was an evangelist, and she taught me all about God, and she really lived her life for him. So Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and he died so that I could live life more abundantly. But sitting in this dark room was not living life more abundantly. See, although I attended church regularly and I served faithfully in my roles at church, I stopped communicating with God. My home life had become very chaotic. After years of trauma from domestic abuse, the depression that follows, the shame that follows, the hurt, the anger that ensues in you, you get to that point where it's like, who is that person? Who are you? How did I let somebody tell me what my worth was. But God is amazing, and He's always right on time. In that dark room, a group of women from my church came, and they came into that darkness, and they stood around me and surrounded me, and they began to pray, which in turn made me start to pray for myself. It's just like, wow. Lord, when I think you couldn't hear me, you heard me. You sent these people to me to empower me, to give me my strength back. And from that day on, I returned my focus back to God. And I just allowed Him to do the work. You have to allow Him to do the work. But with that being said, faith without works is dead. So you have to do the work too. And in Matthew 18 and 20, it says, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. And that's what that group of women did for me. And I thank God for them every day. Also, when He gave me that strength back, He also showed me how to cope with the depression, to cope with the history and the years of abuse. I started crafting. I've always loved crafting. I started in 2010. At the time, my daughter was 3 years old, my oldest. And it was Easter time, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna do something for my baby. I'm gonna go get her an Easter basket. She knows what Easter is about. She knows about God, and she knows about the Easter bunny. That's how we do. So I go into a department store, and I'm looking at the baskets, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to spend $20 on 3 pieces of candy and toys she ain't gonna play with. No, I'm not doing it. So I took the $20 and I created a basket for her. She's very girly. She loved tutus. She loved hair bows, things like that. And I filled that basket for her. And eventually, the hobby turned into a full-fledged business. And thank you. Full-fledged business. Thank you. And my mother and I started creating custom gift baskets for our church's guest speakers that were coming from out of town. And it's like, wow, this is really taking off. And we started doing vendor shows and things like that as well. And my home life improved as well, you know. And in the span of 23 months, we welcomed 2 new babies into our family, much to the delight of our daughter and the dismay. She was like, that's enough. I don't need any more brothers or sisters, thank you. So, but life goes in cycles. And then the home life started to deteriorate again. Why? Life got busy. I stopped communicating with God again. And I was like, okay, I gotta do something, I have to do something. So one day, my children came to me in the midst of the chaos after a chaotic event happened. And they was like, Mom, why do you stay? And I was like, to look in those faces and not be able to explain. I knew in that moment that they deserved better. So I packed my things and I moved back to Janesville with my family. And in that moment, I took my power back. I took my power back from all of those previous relationships, all of those things that were just holding me down. And I moved into my own apartment eventually. And this is all during the pandemic. So imagine being in the house with a 12-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1.5-year-old during the pandemic, listening to Baby Shark all day. Yes, my son loved him some Baby Shark. But eventually, I started to go to therapy. I also began to pray again. And now I am the owner of 2 businesses. Thank you. And in 2021, I opened a brick and mortar location in the Uptown Janesville Mall, and I collaborated with 16 other Black and Latino businesses, and we rocked that out for 2 years. Thank you. And then after the tragic passing of our founder, Vicki Lynn, I became the committee lead for Black Women in Business Beloit. And we host a successful expo every year since 2019. I also met her in 2019. And you always have to have that person that's gonna pour back into you when you're at your lowest. And she was that person for me. She would call, she would check on me, she would encourage me. And you know, I was very quiet, very shy, and in our first expo I ever did, I was sitting behind my vendor table, kind of just like, people walking by and not really saying anything. And she came over to me, she was like, you know what? You doper than you realize. And I was like, I don't think so. But she definitely poured into me. So you definitely have to have people like that. Research shows that it takes an average of 7 times for a domestic abuse victim to finally leave. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience some form of domestic violence or abuse by an intimate partner. So it's not just happening to us ladies, it's happening to men too. I say all of this to tell you that you have to take your power back. So don't give up and continue to rise and thrive. Thank you.
Don't leave, amigas, don't leave. I just want to say thank you so very much to everyone who's come. And yes, this is kind of like the ending of our thing. I want to bring up one of our sponsors, which is Old National Bank. Jeff, would you come up to the stage? We're going to draw a little drawing here for those of you who came in the beginning. Yes, there's a 10-carat plated gold necklace that's lost in the mail, but I promise you I will get it to you. But in meantime, in lieu of that, you will get one of these beautiful large bouquets. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Robin Ryan. Hey! Oh my gosh, I just met this woman very recently. Oh my gosh. Okay, you get one of these beautiful bouquets to take with you home and or a necklace that says the word Heffa on it, which isn't here. But thank you so very much. If it wasn't for community sponsors like Old National Bank to come and help us, we would not be able to do this. And I want to just give a big shout welcome as well to all of our other sponsors too, from MG&E to Summit Credit Union to Sarah Alvarado. Thank you so very much, all of you, for this community support and acknowledgement of all of our stories. Now it's time to get on stage with all of us, including you, Jeff. I know you might not know Spanish very well. Come on down, ladies. We're going to come up here and say, Yo quiero dinero together. Because just like one of our speakers said today, Dr. Xochitl Gonzalez telling us today that it's not just about one person's salary, right? It's not just about one pay raise, right? It's about a whole community. We can't do this unless all of us are doing it together for each other. All right, now get out of your seats and say it with me. Okay? Bring in that music, okay? I don't see y'all dancing though. I don't see people dancing. Get into it, we're getting it. Pump up that music, DJ, because we're getting into this. All right, 1, 2, 3. Yo